When I got my housing assignment, the RA looked at me kind of funny. Dorm 413, she muttered, scrolling down the screen again. That's weird. It's usually locked. Let me double check with housing. She left for 10 minutes and came back pale, like she'd seen something she didn't want to. It's yours, she said, handing me the key. It just opened up. Lincoln Hall stood like a forgotten shadow at the edge of campus. Unlike the newly built dorms with LED lights and central AC, Lincoln was a towering, red brick building that looked like it belonged in a horror movie. And room 413? It was on the top floor, corner room. Alone. As soon as I stepped in, I felt it. That hum. That low, droning vibration in my bones, like something deep underground was awake and listening. The first few nights, I chalked it all up to nerves. The scratching started on night 3. Faint at first. Soft. Almost like a rat behind the wall. I pounded once, nothing. Then again, and the scratching stopped. But the next night, it got louder. More erratic. And it wasn't just scratching, it was tapping, like fingernails on drywall. And it came from the wall behind my bed, the wall that backed up to the empty storage closet next door. When I told the RA, he just frowned. There is no closet next door, he said. That room's sealed shut. He was right. I checked the next morning. Room 414 was bricked off, with rusted bolts where the door should have been. So what the hell was tapping on my wall? It was the first week of October when I saw her. I'd been pulling an all-nighter, too much Red Bull, too little sleep. At 3:42 a.m., I heard the elevator ding. Which made no sense. No one else lived on the 4th floor but me. I opened my door just a crack, quietly. The lights were flickering in the hallway, and a girl in a soaked, gray hoodie stood facing the elevator, motionless. She had no shoes. Her feet were dirty, bleeding. Her hands were clenched into fists, twitching slightly. But the worst part was her face. She had no eyes. Just dark, sunken sockets. She turned around slowly, and even though I slammed the door shut, I knew she saw me. That night, I barely slept, and in the morning? No trace of her, not on the security footage. Not in the RA's report. They told me it was stress. A hallucination. A trauma response. I knew better. Weeks passed. Sleep got harder. My grades started to slip. But it was the whispers that nearly broke me. They started around 2 a.m. every night. Soft voices through the air vent above my bed. At first, I thought it was other students. But no one else lived on the 4th floor. The whispers always said the same things. Ethan, come see. Ethan, open the wall, open it. I recorded them once. Played it back the next day, nothing. Just white noise. But the more I ignored it, the louder it got. Until one night, I heard another name. Nate. I froze. My dead brother's name, whispered clearly by something that should not have known him. The nightmares began right after that. Nate standing in the hallway. His face swollen from the crash. Bones poking through his skin. He'd open his mouth to scream, but no sound came out. Just black smoke. One night, I woke up at 3:13 a.m. to find a voicemail on my phone. When I played it back, it was Nate's voice. Static choked, but his words were unmistakable. Don't trust the mirror. They're in the walls. Don't let it out. My blood turned cold. I hadn't told anyone about the mirror. There was an old mirror screwed into the wall above the desk in my room. I never used it. Too dusty, too scratched. But the day after the voicemail, something changed. Now, when I walked past it, I caught glimpses, not of myself, but of the girl, the one with no eyes. Standing behind me, smiling. I couldn't take it anymore. I broke into the campus archives. Lincoln Hall was built in 1904, originally as a sanatorium. Then a psych ward. Then finally converted into dorms in the 70s.
Room 413 was the isolation chamber. They kept violent patients there, students who'd gone mad. One file mentioned a girl, subject E. Palmer, 18 years old. She gouged her own eyes out with a spoon and claimed she saw the truth behind the glass. She died in room 413, alone. Her last words? He lives in the mirror. On Halloween night, I did something stupid. I smashed the mirror. It shattered into 1,000 jagged pieces, and behind it, a hidden space, a crawl cavity in the wall. Inside it there were bones, human bones, and an old photo of the girl. She was smiling in the picture, standing next to another boy, his name written in pencil on the back. Nate Ward, my brother. My family never told me everything about Nate's death. He wasn't in a car crash. He died here, at Blackridge. He'd come to this school 2 years before me, Stayed in dorm 413. And he saw her too. I tried to leave. Packed my bags. Drove halfway to Portland. But when I stopped at a gas station, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. One new voicemail. It was me, but older, tired, whispering, "You left the door open. Now it's coming through." I checked the back seat. She was sitting there, smiling. No eyes. They found my car abandoned on the edge of Highway 6. Doors locked from the inside. Engine still running, but no sign of me. In room 413, the mirror has been replaced. The next student moves in next week, and sometimes when the hall goes quiet, you can still hear the whispers. I shouldn't have moved into dorm 413. Story 2. Red Pine Hall was the oldest building on campus, built in 1893, once a lecture hall, then a library, now a residence for scholarship students. That's where I stayed. Room 104, first floor, right by the emergency stairwell. The door to the basement was always locked. It had a rusted steel handle and a faded sign above it. No entry, closed since 1977. That year kept coming up in the campus archives. 1977, a fire. Students missing, but no real documentation, just gaps, like history was erased. I only noticed the door because it was open one night, barely, a crack wide enough to see flickering light and to hear breathing. Curiosity is a terrible thing. I went down, phone flashlight on, steps creaking, the air smelled like dirt, blood and something old, like rot you can't clean out of your clothes. The basement was massive, endless corridors, sealed doors, storage rooms filled with crumbling boxes, and at the end, a single wooden door marked Room 02. When I touched the knob, I heard my own voice whisper my name from the other side. Lila. I ran back upstairs, but the next day, I had bruises on my ankles, like fingers had grabbed them. Red Pine Hall changed after that. The next night, the second floor was gone. I don't mean locked, I mean literally missing. The stairwell now led directly to a brick wall. Every floor plan said there was a second floor, but now no one remembered it, except me and my roommate Jess. She said she'd seen something too, a man made of smoke, standing in the corner of her room. We decided to record that night. Set up a camera pointing at the basement door. When we played back the footage in the morning, it was 13 hours of static and screaming. Neither of us remembered hearing a thing. Jess disappeared 2 days later. I came back from class to find her bed perfectly made, her clothes still in the closet, her phone on the charger, but no trace of her. Campus security dismissed it. She probably went home, they said. But her parents hadn't heard from her. I showed them the footage from our last night. They confiscated my laptop. That night I woke up with muddy footprints all over the floor. One set. Going to Jess's bed, but none coming back. I stopped sleeping. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Room 002, the door slowly opening. A black figure stepping out. Hands too long, skin too pale, a stitched mouth. And always, the whispers. "Come home, Lila." I started hearing them even while awake, in lectures, in the shower, in the mirror, and sometimes in Jess's voice. One night I found a note under my pillow. In her handwriting, "Don't let him out. Room 002 feeds on screams." I hacked the university's closed archives. I needed answers. What happened in 1977? A secret fraternity, 12 students, rituals in the basement of Red Pine, blood sacrifices, madness, an entity they called the archivist. It recorded the pain of every person it devoured, and it could only be contained in Room 02 as long as no one screamed. The last student to open the door? She screamed so loud that Red Pine's foundation cracked. She was never found. Her name, Eliza Hayes. My aunt. I get it now. Why I was assigned this dorm. Why no one else hears what I hear. I'm tied to this place by blood. And the archivist knows it. I've stopped talking to people. My reflection moves half a second slower than I do. I don't trust the lights, or the shadows. My door creaks open on its own. Room 002 appears even in my dreams. Jess came back once, just for a second. In the mirror, she mouthed, "Don't scream." Then her face tore apart. I've set up a recording, one final video. If anyone finds this, you'll see me go down the basement, open room 002, and face it. Because I have to know what it took from Jess, from my aunt, from me. And if I come back, don't believe anything I say because it's not me anymore. The video was uploaded at 3 a.m. 17 minutes of darkness, then screaming. The file corrupted every device it touched. Ashbrook University officially closed Red Pine Hall the next day, but if you walk near it at night, you might hear someone whisper. Story 3. It started with a dare. Stay in the old bell tower for 1 hour, my roommate Evan said, drunk on cheap vodka and Halloween hype. The bell tower was part of the original 1800s campus, abandoned since a lightning strike collapsed the upper floor in 1965. They sealed it up, claimed it was unsafe, but college kids are idiots, including me. I took the dare. I snuck in through the maintenance hallway at 11:50 p.m., flashlight and GoPro in hand. At midnight, the door slammed shut behind me, and locked. I checked my phone. No signal. The air was cold, colder than outside, as if the tower had been sealed with winter itself. My breath fogged the lens. But the strange part, the clock on my phone started skipping. 12:03, then 12:06, then 12:04 again, then 1:18. I thought it was glitching until my watch did the same. And I began to hear bells. Soft at first, distant, but the tower hadn't rung in over 50 years. I reached the 3rd level where the belfry used to be. There she was, a girl, pale, white dress, blonde hair soaked like she'd just stepped out of a storm. Back turned, she was humming, a slow, painful tune that pulled at something deep inside me, like sadness I'd forgotten how to feel. I asked, "Hey, do you need help?" She didn't turn, just whispered, "They never helped me. Don't expect them to help you." When I blinked, she was gone, and there were wet footprints on the wooden floorboards leading behind me. The walls were covered in old carvings, names, dozens of them. Alicia, 59, Ben Thomas, 62, Megan White, 65. But one caught my eye. Evan Mercer, 24. That's my name. I ran, panicked, took the stairs down, except now there were more stairs than before, endless, twisting. The walls changed, bricks became stone, the air felt like death, and something followed. I didn't hear it, but I felt it, breathing behind me. I found a room I hadn't seen earlier, hidden behind an arched wooden door. Inside were mirrors, all shattered, and in the center a chair, tied to it, a body. No, not a body, a mannequin. But the face was carved to look like mine. Blood soaked the floor beneath it, fresh. I turned to run, but the door was gone, replaced by a brick wall. And then came the screaming. Hundreds of voices, male, female, young, old, all shrieking at once. I covered my ears, sank to my knees, and saw, carved into the floorboards, "This place eats the ones who don't believe." I lost time, hours, maybe days. Food, gone. Phone, dead. And then I heard him. My brother Mason. He died by suicide 2 years ago. I found him. But now I heard him behind the bricks. "You left me. You let me stay in the dark." His voice echoed around the tower, louder, closer. Crying. Then laughing, I screamed, begged, hit the walls with my fists until they bled. Then everything went silent, except the bell. It rang once, and then the tower changed. The air was no longer cold. It was wet. I looked up the stairwell and saw them. Figures, students, dozens. Their faces melted, skulls exposed, crawling downward. They didn't walk. They climbed, arms twitching like spiders, eyes gone. I ran, but the staircase below me had disappeared. I was trapped between the dead above and the darkness below. And then the girl appeared again, right in front of me. She held my hand and whispered, "If you scream, they find you." I couldn't breathe. I don't remember how I got out, but they found me 3 days later, huddled in a fetal position inside a locked storage closet on the first floor, fingernails torn, eyes bloodshot. I couldn't speak for a week. The footage from the GoPro gone, corrupted. The only file that remained was a single audio clip. The bell tower is always hungry. They sealed it again, but at night, if you're walking past Harrington Hall and you hear a bell toll at exactly 12:04 a.m., don't look up, because something might be climbing down. Story 4. Blackmore's Atherton Library was majestic, 5 floors of dusty books and quiet dread. Students said it used to be a church, later converted into a library. The 5th floor was off limits, so was the basement. They said the basement was sealed in 1981 after a student hung herself from the sprinkler pipe. They said she kept writing after death. One day, while researching for a short story competition, I found an old map of the library tucked into an 1884 book of poems. The map showed a hallway below the basement, one that didn't exist in any modern blueprint, so of course I went looking for it. I snuck into the basement at 2 a.m. The air smelled like mildew and burnt paper. My flashlight flickered as I moved past stacks of forgotten archives. Then I found it, a sealed stone arch. Part of the wall looked newer, almost like it had been bricked up quickly. I pushed, and it gave way. Behind it, a small room with mirrors lining every wall, old, cracked, silver-backed mirrors, and in one of them I saw myself, but bleeding. Neck slashed, eyes glassy. I turned around, no one there. When I looked back, that version of me was smiling. I tried to ignore it, blamed it on lack of sleep, too much caffeine. But things changed. I'd catch glimpses of myself walking past windows I hadn't walked by, see my reflection blink when I didn't. My roommate asked if I was okay, said I kept standing by her bed at night, except I didn't. Then one morning I woke up with a page taped to my chest. "You've already died. You just haven't noticed yet." It was in my handwriting. Back in the library, I searched for answers. I needed records, files, something. I asked the old librarian, Mrs. Reeve. She looked nervous. "You shouldn't go poking into the basement," she whispered. "It keeps things that look like us but aren't." Later that night, I found a book misfiled under horror. It wasn't catalogued, no author, no title. Inside were handwritten entries. I saw my twin again. She smiled like she knew I was fading. The mirror cracked at 3:33 a.m. That's when she steps through. The last page had only one sentence. "If you see yourself, run." I stopped sleeping. Every time I closed my eyes, I dreamt of the basement, of the mirror room, of myself, dying again and again. Once I saw my double sitting at my desk typing. I hid in the hallway for hours, too afraid to go back. When I finally entered, she was gone. But my laptop showed a document open. Confession of Riley Hammond, 327 pages. I didn't write any of it, but it described my life in perfect detail, including how I would die. I set an alarm, waited in my room, camera recording, mirror covered. At exactly 3:33 a.m., my dorm door creaked open. The hallway light flickered, and she walked in. Me. But not me. She was pale, lips stitched shut, moving stiffly. Her eyes glowed faint silver in the dark. She sat at the edge of my bed, watching me, then leaned forward and whispered, without opening her mouth, "Time to trade places." I ran to the library, the only place I thought could still be real. The basement door stood wide open. Inside, the mirror room pulsed with heat, and every mirror showed a different version of me, dying in different ways, falling, drowning, screaming. Only one was still alive, looking straight at me, bloody, shaking, crying. She mouthed, "Help me. You're the last." And the glass cracked. I woke up back in bed. No blood, no wounds, No basement. But my reflection still cries. They say I'm fine. No one remembers the basement. The librarian says she never met me. My roommate says I dropped out last semester. But I'm still here, a little quieter, a little colder, and when I look in the mirror, I'm not blinking, because she's in here now, and I don't know if I'm still Riley. The library basement remains sealed, but sometimes during heavy rain, when the wind is just right, the students walking past Atherton Library hear someone whispering, "Don't look too long, or she'll come through yours next." Story 5. Winslow State's West Wing had been closed since 1999 after part of the roof collapsed during a freak winter storm. But in fall 2024, they reopened a portion of it for restricted research access, which just meant, we need students to do late-night cleanup and filing. I was broke, desperate, and stupid. So I signed up. They gave me a badge, a key, and one rule: leave before midnight. No exceptions. The first week was uneventful. Dusty rooms, old psychological experiments, boxes labeled live subject footage, do not view. I should have listened. On my 8th shift, I was asked to clean out room 7A. No one told me why it was sealed with 2 padlocks. Inside, it was empty, except for a projector, a metal chair, and a small mirror nailed to the wall. There was a tape on the floor. No label. Out of curiosity, I played it. The tape showed a girl, my age, wearing a Winslow hoodie. She looked directly into the camera and whispered, "I think I'm still here, somewhere inside, but it's using my face now." Then she screamed, and the mirror behind me cracked. After that night, my reflections started acting wrong, lagging behind me, smiling too long, moving when I didn't. I told my supervisor. He looked pale and said, "You looked in the mirror, didn't you?" When I nodded, he quietly marked something on his clipboard and said, "Try not to fall asleep on campus." Back in 2023, a student named Erica Kane vanished. Her dorm was untouched, her laptop still open. One tab was open to a Reddit post titled, "There's something wrong with Winslow's West Wing mirrors." The comments were worse. My roommate started humming backwards, "Don't trust your own voice after 3 a.m. It only replaces one person at a time. You'll know when it's your turn." The post had been deleted an hour later, but I recognized the girl in Erica's profile picture. It was the same girl from the tape. 2 weeks later, I stayed past midnight, just to see what would happen. The power went out. Emergency lights flickered red. And then I heard footsteps behind me. When I turned, there was no one, until I heard my own voice whisper, "Callie, you're almost hollow now." I ran. But every hallway turned back into room 7A. The projector flicked on by itself, and the mirror showed 2 of me. Only one was smiling. I've stopped going to classes because now the people look at me differently, like they know I'm not really me anymore. I checked the mirror in the girls' bathroom near the quad, and the reflection didn't blink when I did. Instead, it mouthed, "I'm Callie now, you can rest." I smashed the mirror, but I still see her when I close my eyes. Yesterday, I broke into the old faculty records, found a locked drawer labeled West Wing Replacements, inside a yellowed list of names: Erica Kane, Miles Weaver, Daphne Ortiz, Callie Monroe. My name was already there. Next to it, a red check mark. Date, 2 days ago. If you're reading this, I hope it's not too late. I'm not sure if I'm still Callie. I don't remember how this letter started. I don't remember what I did yesterday. I can't feel my hands when I type. I looked in the mirror one last time this morning, and this time she was standing behind me, smiling, waving, wearing my skin like it fits her better than it ever fit me, and I think I'm finally okay with it. They've reopened more of the West Wing now. The university says it's for historical restoration, but at night in room 7A the projector sometimes starts on its own. And if you look closely in the mirror, you might see yourself, only smiling when you're not. Story 6. I wasn't supposed to be in room 302. It was the last room left during late check-in, after my original dorm assignment got lost in the system. The housing director, Dean Wallace, gave me that sheepish look. The kind adults wear when they know they're sending a kid into something bad, but don't want to say it. It's not ideal, he muttered, flipping through a worn-out folder, but it's clean. Quiet. Mostly undisturbed. That word, undisturbed, caught in my ears like a warning. But I was tired. I'd driven 6 hours alone from Scranton in my mum's beat-up Corolla, with everything I owned stuffed in the back seat. I wasn't going to sleep in the car on my first night at Blackridge University, so I took the key, and I moved into room 302 of West Wing Hall, the room nobody else had touched for 3 years. The hallway was clean, fluorescent lit, and smelled like waxed tile floors and faint mildew. 302 sat at the very end, next to a rusted fire exit that didn't open all the way. It was the only room without decorations taped to the door. No welcome sign, no RA flyer, nothing. Inside, the room looked normal. 2 beds, 2 desks, a small window facing the woods behind campus. My soon-to-be roommate, Riley Parks, hadn't arrived yet. But the silence was weird. Too thick, like the air was wrapped in cotton. I pushed open the window and tried to laugh at myself. New places are always strange at first. Still, as I unpacked, I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't the first person to sleep in that bed, even though the mattress looked untouched. Riley arrived the next morning, all denim shorts and sarcastic energy. She was everything I wasn't. Loud, confident, social. I liked her instantly. But the second she walked in, she paused. "This is it? Room 302? She asked, frowning. "Seriously, this is the one?" I stopped folding my hoodie. "What do you mean? You haven't heard?" "Dude, this is Dahlia Keene's old room." I blinked. "Who?" Riley sat down hard on her bed. "Dahlia Keene. She went missing 3 years ago. Literally vanished in the middle of the semester, last seen right here in this room." I laughed. "She didn't." "I'm not screwing with you," Riley said. "Ask anyone. They sealed this room after it happened. No one's lived here since." I looked around. The walls suddenly felt closer, the closet darker. "Do they know what happened to her?" I asked. Riley shook her head. "No body. No note. Just gone." The first night we slept in 302, I woke up at 3:14 a.m. to a click. The closet door had opened by itself. It was slow, deliberate, a faint creak that pulled me straight out of sleep. I sat up, heart thumping. The door stood slightly ajar. Riley was snoring, dead to the world. I crept across the floor, hands shaking, and pushed the door shut. Click. The lock slid into place. The next morning, I told myself I'd imagined it. Doors move, right? Air pressure, old hinges. But the second night, it happened again. Same time, same slow creak. And this time, I heard breathing inside. I asked around campus. Most people got weird when I mentioned room 302. One sophomore girl, Elena, finally told me what she knew. "Dahlia was weird," she said. "Quiet, artsy. Said she could hear things, that the room talked to her. She'd stand in front of the closet for hours, not moving, just staring." I felt chills climb my back. "What did she say she heard?" I asked. Elena looked down. She said something lived in the wall, behind the closet, and it wanted her. On the third night, Riley dared me to knock on the inside of the closet wall. "It's just drywall," she said, smirking. I did it. 3 knocks, knock, 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 a second later. 3 knocks came back. From the other side. The smell came on the 4th night. Wet dirt. Old roots. The stink of something buried. It filled the room after midnight. Riley woke up gagging. "Can't," she wheezed, covering her nose. "Where is that coming from?" We tore apart the garbage, checked the pipes. Nothing. But the closet? The smell was strongest there, and on the back wall, which had once been clean, dirt had begun to flake through the paint. I started dreaming of her, Dahlia. She stood in the corner of my mind, eyes hollow, face pale. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Just dirt, pouring down her chin, like someone had filled her throat with it. Every night she came closer. Every night I woke up screaming. Riley didn't believe in ghosts. Stress dreams, she said. But I knew better. Dahlia wasn't gone. She was still here. Riley finally snapped when we heard whispering beneath the floorboards. It was just after 3 a.m., a voice, right under us, saying our names. Riley, Mara, let me out. We both jumped on our beds, crying. Riley grabbed her phone and turned on the flashlight. We pried up one of the floorboards under her bed. Underneath was dirt, real black earth, like someone had buried a grave beneath our room. And in that dirt, something moved, something white. A hand. Campus security came. We told them everything. They laughed. The next day, Dean Wallace visited. You girls are tired. Room 302 has a history. But there's no Dahlia. She was declared missing. That's it. I lost it. You knew something was wrong with this room and you put us in here anyway? He didn't answer. Instead, he said, Room 302 isn't haunted. It's hungry. That's different. Then he left. That night, Riley tried to leave. She packed her bags and ran. She never made it to the lobby. They found her 2 days later, curled up in the closet, her mouth full of dirt, her eyes wide open, staring at the wall. I've been alone in room 302 for 3 weeks. The walls bleed soil. The closet door never stays closed. Dahlia sits beside my bed at night. She doesn't speak. She just watches, waiting. I've stopped fighting, because I know now. Room 302 doesn't haunt people. It swallows them one by one, and I'm next. I tried to leave today, but the door wouldn't open. I screamed, pounded, begged. No one heard, because Blackridge built this room to never let go. They say Dahlia's missing. They'll say the same about Riley, and soon they'll say the same about me, but I'm still here, behind the walls, under the floor, right here, whispering your name as you read this. Come visit. Room 302 has space for one more.